बोले सोने हाल सासरी अकाल।
Welcome to another cook show with myself, Manjeet Kaur, in my Desi Wellness Kitchen, bringing you a whole host of summer cook shows and something quick, easy, something splendid, something superfoods, something nice, something sweet, something savory. I'm going two concepts here. In this cook show, I'll be using the coconut flour and coconut sugar. One of the best flours as a substitute to wheat, better for, and it helps with metabolism, high in fiber, lot of nutrients, very good essential fats. Nariyal da tel sir vaste, nariyal da tel skin vaste, nariyal for brain, nariyal helps with brain inflammation, nariyal is great for Alzheimer's and dementia, oiling, greasing inside. That's the journey today in my cook show. Saryanu welcome, Diga Swagat, and Jambo Sana to all my folks of Kenya. So, such a simple concept, you'll be shocked. I had to quarterize this recipe, believe it or not. It's a recipe from back home, but in quarter karke, I'm now debating that whether I'm going to make it in two small tins or one large tin. But the concept is so simple, you'll be absolutely shocked. I've got all my ingredients here. This is the coconut flour that goes into my mix. All the recipe will be given to the middle of the show. In goes in the coconut sugar made just from nariyal. This is a superfood brownie that I am making. A superfood brownie with cacao powder. One of the best things that you can have. Way back in the Caribbean islands, they have about 4 cacao seeds every day. It helps with cholesterol as well because it's a superfood. So, putting this in. This is actually from the Caribbean islands, something that I hadn't opened. I'm actually opening this today for this show. Ede vich pare apa half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of soda bicarbonate, whenever you use coconut flour, it is more dense flour, it needs more fluid, but it's a great substitute for lots of other bad flours that we seem to consume. Here is my egg-free mix in which I've already put in the flaxseed. I'm going to give it a good mix, and that's really become nice and gluteny to give it that bounce. So I'm going to mix all my dry ingredients first. So there goes, you can see how the coconut flour is mixing. The coconut flour is much less to the cacao powder. And I'll be actually putting another superfood on top, which is the walnuts. So let's look at some great foods that we are missing in our diet. It goes into my oven of 185 degrees for about 20 minutes. But the second part of this cook show would be so exciting, something different, something that people have allergies to wheat, anybody who's celiac, anybody who has gluten sensitivity, anybody who bloats with food, with wheat flour. This is going to be the second part, also will be a great concept. Mixing all that in, you can see all the flaxseed in there. You need to go slow, but I don't need a mixer here. And this will be baked in the oven. So if you are using 1 cup of some other sprouted flours, then you would use quarter of coconut flour. You'll always need less but more fluid in there. And I've got my melted coconut oil. I'll be putting in 4 tablespoons. This is not the flour-based brownies that you guys have. This is really fantastic taste. Anybody who's not tasted it or not tried it should try it. So giving that a thorough mix. You can already smell this is cacao powder. This is the first ingredient, which is from raw chocolate, not what you look out for synthetic stuff, and that's bouncing. Anybody with depression, this is fantastic stuff. To make this brownie and give it to a person with depression, they would definitely feel good factor because it releases very good happy hormones. And then everything is in coconut, the coconut oil, the coconut sugar, the coconut flour, that's all coconutty. And we'll be adding in a quarter cup of coconut milk. This is the purest form of coconut milk. Give it a bit of a shake. This is 100% no additives. Just a quarter cup. You can see that's purest form of coconut milk. That's like a real brownie mix, and wow, if only you could smell the aroma, you'd be absolutely astounded how wonderful it smells. So looking at the concept, I think I'll be probably going in for my tart mix in here. Just tamp it down and level it out, let it cook. The raw chocolate takes about good 6 months to dry up first before it is ready to be given as a raw product. Before it is brought to chocolate industry, it is a great process in its natural sunshine where it is left to heat up and dry in natural heat, nothing to do with ovens and incinerators where things are left to dry up. Just level this out, adding in a handful of pine nuts. It can be served with a caramel sauce if you like, but I'm not going to make the sauce, which was another story in itself. Taking in walnuts now. So just tap them down so when it comes to cutting, you're not going to be having the pine nuts falling all over. Just take walnuts and put them around. A brownie of a different kind, but this is a superfood brownie, not what you guys are eating out there in stores and paying about £4 maybe for that dessert. That's ready to go into my oven. So that's reheating up at 185 degrees. We'll leave it in the top oven for about 25 minutes. And into the second part of my show, I'll be making the coconut paste pizza, and the ingredients will be displayed in front of you on the set while we take a little short break.
ਇੱਕ ਸੌ 6 ਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਨੇ ਤੋਂ ਲਾਈਵ ਜਾਂ ਡੀ ਲਾਈਵ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਟੈਕਨੋਲੋਜੀ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਹੈ। ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਾਰਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਹਾਈ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਕਵਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਵੇਗਾ। ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੇ ਪੈਗਾਮ ਨੂੰ ਘਰ-ਘਰ ਤੱਕ ਪਹੁੰਚਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਰਿਕਾਰਡ ਕਰਵਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰੋ 07702748906 ਤੇ।
coconut flour brownies. You needed the following: pure quarter cup of coconut flour, 3/4 cup of organic cacao powder, half a cup of egg-free mix with teaspoon of flax, half a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of baking powder, quarter cup of coconut sugar. You need to make all this mix, blend it together, add it into your 2 flan dishes of 3 inches each. Preheat your oven at 185 degrees. Dress it up with walnuts, pines or almonds of your choice and bake for 20 minutes. The second recipe for today was the coconut crust pizza. Ingredients are as follows: 1/4 cup and 2 tablespoons of coconut flour, a 1/4 cup of coconut oil, a half a cup of egg-free mix, 1 teaspoon of agave syrup, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Method: mix the dry ingredients and then fold in the wet ingredients. Make the dough malleable. Prepare 8-inch baking dish with parchment paper. Grease it. Put the coconut crust at the base and bake it in a preheated oven for about 12 minutes at the temperature of 185 degrees. Once it's a bit brown, remove. The toppings are of your choice. I use the wild mushrooms, 5 shiitake mushrooms, chop them, 1/3 red pepper chopped. Once the base is crisp, and remove it from the oven. Spread garlic butter, optional. Paste the whole of the base ring with tomato paste and chopped plum tomatoes. Add in the peppers in any order. The mushrooms, which should be glorified with half a teaspoon of salt, pepper, herbs, garam masala, oregano, chilies and chili flakes. Mix all these up and add them to the mushroom and drop the mushrooms onto the pizza. Layer it down, cheddar cheese and mozzarella cheese mix. Just heat that in the oven for about 4 minutes to 5 minutes till the cheese melts. I preferred to put in a few tomatoes and basil leaves and chilies on top. That is optional. Enjoy with the coconut flour brownie. Ji haan, welcome back. Cooking, fragrance, aroma, getting your taste buds going. This is all part of eating and savoring food, that the signals go to the brain and tell you, wow, I fancy eating that, or it smells glorious. Imagine those people who have no taste buds or who have got surgeon syndrome, who have no saliva. They cannot taste food, or their mouth does not water because it's a dry mouth condition, and the mucous membranes of the mouth are very, very dry. Let's get into the side of the panel and just show you the fragrance is beautiful. I've already checked and I will check again. That's cooked beautiful. So I'm just going to take this out. The nasal and the naze and the walnuts look wonderful. Serve that with anything. You've seen me make almond custard. You can serve that with caramel sauce if you so wish, but it will certainly become very, very sugary and very, very sweet. We need to just let this cool down, and once it's cool, we'll plate it up for you and just dress it up with something nice and interesting. So into the second half, you need to just see here what I have in front in my kitchen set displayed, which is actually we're going to make a coconut based pizza into the second half. You probably have never tasted a coconut base. I've done gobi base, I've done spelt flour, I've done organic flours, and the gobi based pizza, whoever has learnt it, they at least make it once a month. Always use organic gobi. So here I've got my coconut flour. In that, I'm going to be adding in the mixes and the egg-free mix, the salt, the baking powder, and then baking that, blind baking that into my base tin, which is ready, and then taking it out and using superfood mushrooms. These are the superfoods, wild mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms, something that I've never used in my cook show. And so this is going to be a wild super protein mushroom, using the right cheeses, peppers, chilies, and any other vegetables of your choice. But I'm not using normal chestnut mushrooms. I'll be using the white mushrooms. You can wild mushrooms. You can use the oysters, shiitake mushrooms. Anybody who's tasted that, it's so beautiful. It's actually got a meaty, earthy taste. You'll never ever look back, and at least once a week you'd love to enjoy something so beautiful that's actually, you know, prevents the cells from multiplying and causing cancers. So mushrooms have got great properties, but coconut, high in fiber, wonderful 3, 6s and 9s, very good for metabolism, very good for cholesterol as well, very good for people who have celiac condition. Into the second half, I'll be making the dough, getting the ring base and blind baking it into the oven after a short break. Stay tuned. On a warm summer day, my back is heating up, so I really got to get cracking onto this cook show. We've got our brownies. Those of you who have just tuned in, I made some superfood brownies. They're looking wonderful, made with the purest and 100% cacao powder. And here I'm going to go on with my coconut-based pizza using my black garlic and also using a little bit of almond butter and a little bit of the garlic paste. So let's get cooking. First we need to get the dough blind baked. I've got a 1/4 cup and 2 tablespoons of coconut flour, purest form of coconut flour. That goes into the mix here. Into this mix will also be coconut oil, a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. Do remember, coconut flour is dry, so it needs more moisture. I'm going to use at least 1/2 cup of egg free mix with the custard powder, and also got the linseed, but not so much in this one. Giving that a good mix, and you can see how the dough has formed. But now look at the way there was 1/4 cup and 2 tablespoons, and this is what's come out. So this looks like maize flour. In here I'll be adding the rising agent, the pink salt, 1/4 teaspoon, baking powder as the rising agent. Because this coconut flour is dense, this is going to be 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Give that a good mix. And 1 teaspoon of agave syrup. So we are not using wheat flour, we are not using any other grain except what nature has intended is coconut nariyal that grows on about 15 to 20 feet high trees, and South India is full of that. Any other coastline, nariyal and coconut is a wonderful savored fruit, but in South India it's eaten on a very high level. So I'm going to get the whole mix out, give it a good, oh wow, the fragrance is beautiful. So I'm just going to pat down my base, which doesn't even need rolling because the essential fats are there, and that's just going to help to bind it together. Just tamp it down all on one fine kind of same thickness, and probably use a spoon then. I've already got a parchment paper underneath, so it's rolled out to about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch thickness. And if anybody's never tasted coconut flour, now is the time, because I've given you wonderful ideas, and I still will be making some more shows and creating more shows to do with coconut. This now goes into the oven, and while this is baking, I'll be cutting all my products today here, which are the wild mushrooms, the peppers, the onions have been chopped using two different cheeses. One is the halloumi and the organic Mizola goat cheese with mixed up with cheddar. So this is a 2-in-1 combination. Chilies, tomatoes, any other mixes, but I would prefer to stick to the wild mushrooms and not create anything stodgy like sweet corn. So let's get this into the oven. Time it for 12 minutes. Peppers, again, great, but these are pointed peppers. That is the one here. Never use the small bell peppers. They are not very, it's a nightshade, not great for people with arthritis. That is a better choice. So as fine and as thin as you want. You can have them in long slices if you wish. And then I've got my mushrooms. Beautiful earthy taste, especially of these wild mushrooms. So really, God has given us food is medicine, and this is why my creations in the cook shows are to do with all our Asian conflict illnesses that our communities getting ridden down with. The freshness of these and the whole chemistry of mushroom farming is really gone high. Obviously, we'll be glorifying some taste onto this in the mushrooms. So I'm going to put my mushrooms back into the bowl and now add all the spices into this. The peppers are fine and sweet as they are. Adding in my salt, just half a teaspoon. Garam masala, chili paste, which is actually chili flakes with oil. Really will give you an amazing taste. Here comes then the other herbs, which are the mixed herbs. We'll be using basil, black garlic, 3 cloves. So here we've got superfoods, we've got the mushrooms, we've got the most amazing powerful black garlic, much better properties than white garlic. Plum tomatoes, also an antioxidant vegetable, very high in lycopene, and the redness and the sweetness is not bitter like other tomatoes. I'll be adding in half a teaspoon of the purest form of garlic paste, which is actually black garlic paste, to the mushrooms. So here what I have created is so splendid. And using basil, there we are, all things set and ready. So just waiting for the coconut base to be ready. That will go into my come out, and the topping will go on top, ready to be displayed for the one of the first coconut based pizzas I've ever made on a Carl channel. Stay tuned. Ji haan, here I've got my, if we can get the cameraman to focus, I've got my brownie ready with a wonderful ganache of chocolate sauce with chocolate droppings. Amazing way to savor a superfood, but definitely bouncing with radiant cacao powder. And let's get on to the coconut based pizza. This is now cooked, but we just need to get it out and melt the cheese, and it's ready to be placed and enjoyed. So I'll be taking a little bit of garlic butter, and I'm going to spread it on the base, just giving it that garlicky taste. If you don't want to use the garlic butter, take another option then. Okay ji, there goes in our tomato puree. Then as per usual, whatever filling you want. And I've got my plum tomatoes here. I'm going to take the most concentrated bit, so little of it actually. Adding in a tablespoon heaped and a half of onions. Adding in my peppers, chopped peppers. Now go the mushrooms, which are, look at that, they look so wonderful. It's got the black garlic, it's got the salt, the pepper, the chives, the herbs, and on it we'll be putting in basil to give it that wonderful Italian taste. That is a healthy deep crust pizza, not what you guys look out. Dropping in some chopped basil on the bottom first. On goes the cheese. I'm using two different concepts. I'm using a bit of halloumi and I'm just going to start fanning it out. And as you know, halloumi itself, folks, it's got its wonderful salty taste, so you don't need to add anything extra. Any of your choice though, but never leave cheese sitting out too long. Going to look for my oregano herb. Using avocado oil, another superfood. There we are. Who would be thinking of using oil on their hands and lip gloss, because you've got all this in this food here. Finally, just a dressing of the red tomatoes to give it that wonderful glorious look, so inviting to the human eye, red color. So I hope you will be mocking this and not just looking at it as entertainment. And finally, a sprinkling of green chilies. Don't touch them because obviously they can be strong. This now goes into the oven. Wonderful pizza straight into the oven just for melting the cheese, ready to be plated. So join me into the plating section. As you've seen, I've already done my wonderful brownie. It's a massive brownie. It is not the kind of brownies you look for, with a ganache chocolate and some chocolate droppings. And we'll be getting the pizza out, ready to plate that and give you a wonderful display of this food for this afternoon. Ji haan, fragrance again initially was the brownies. Before that, I hope you savored our wonderful black bean pancakes and burgers. Here comes out my wonderful pizza with a coconut base. Looks wonderful and glorious. Still hot, and we'll have to cool it down some stage and then it will be ready to serve. But I'm hoping I can do that before we close down for tonight's show. Bear with me. Ji haan, signing off now, Dr. Manjeet Kaur. I hope you've enjoyed this tonight's cook show, or good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, in whichever part of the country, right from New Zealand, Jalandhar, East Africa, Kwaheri, and Americans, good afternoon, and in Britain and in Europe, good night. And for another cook show, signing off, Dr. Manjeet, take you to another superfood journey. This is going to be a workout and a post-workout show. Okay, stay tuned into my next show. Goodbye and Sat Sri Akal.